Friends, welcome to today's class. Today we are going to recapitulate what we have already learned in the Laplace transform, and then we shall work out the block diagram of single input single output system and find out its transfer function. So let us start with what we have already learned in the previous classes. So we have seen that a plant which is not in the closed loop, that is an open loop plant, is provided an input and we are recording its output. So this is the forcing function to the plant. Well, in that case, if we plot the response of the plant with respect to time, so this is the value of the forcing function, and maybe we get an output like this. So this is your output yt, and now suppose I am using a controller to control the response. So this is the plant, there is a controller in front of the plant like this, and then we are applying some input like this, so we can call as RT, and this is the output YT. We can improve the response to some extent. Let this is RT, and this is maybe this is your response over time, and so we had devised a technique in which we can approach toward a better result using a negative feedback control structure. So definitely we have the reference input, as we have already discussed. RT is the reference input, and a measured output is actually feedback and compared with the reference input. So well, in such a case we can have an improved response of the system. This is the desired input, that is the reference, and maybe we get an input RT and a response YT like this. So this is what we have learned in our previous classes. So with this understanding, let us go further to recapitulate the basic formulae used in the Laplace domain. So I write the heading as Laplace transform. Laplace transform so for linear operation of the system, let ft be the time domain function. We have ft as time domain function, then its Laplace transform can be represented as the integral of ft into exponential minus st dt, and we are starting from 0 and going up to infinity. So sometimes this is also called the left Laplace transform for causal systems. So for causal systems, we have ft equal to 0 for all time t less than 0. So a causal system is a system where the output always arrives after the input is given to the system. So let us recapitulate the most common Laplace transforms. I write here the function in time domain, function in time domain, time domain and the Laplace transform. Laplace transform like this. So we start with the impulse function, unit impulse, better I should say unit impulse. So you represent unit impulse by this symbol delta t. You take the Laplace transform and this Laplace transform is unity. The second is the unit step response. So you generally represent it by ut. However, the symbol ut is used to control domain as the control input to the system. So you take the Laplace transform and its value is 1 by s. Then unit ramp, this is unit step input, unit ramp input, and then this is again t. This Laplace transform is 1 by square. Then for acceleration input, I want you to find this. So you are supposed to obtain this. What will be the unit acceleration input and what will be its Laplace transform? You need to find it. So the next one, this is the homework, and you can write your response to my email ID, which is control system faq@gmail.com. So this is my email ID where you can send the answer, or you can send me by WhatsApp to my contact number, mobile number. So next one is the exponential function, exponential e power minus at. Its Laplace transform should be 1 by s plus a. So you have next one, t exponential minus at, and I will again ask you to find its Laplace transform. What will be the Laplace transform for t exponential minus at? And you can again send the answer to my email ID or WhatsApp me. So next one is sine omega t. So for that the Laplace transform is omega divided by a square plus omega square, and eighth is cos omega t. So again you get it as homework. So you have to tell me what will be the Laplace transform. So you have to tell me the Laplace transform in all these three cases. So this will be a recapitulation of your knowledge. You have already learned this in your previous semesters, so you need to recap it. So with this foundation, let us plan for today's agenda, which is studying the block diagram of single input single output system, which will be the closed loop system, and we have to deduce the transfer function from the closed loop system. So we write the heading over here, block diagram block diagram of a single input, single output system. So once I take the Laplace transform of a time domain signal or time domain function, we get a function in the S domain. So this S domain function, the benefit of transformation in the S domain is that it is like Newtonian logarithmic table, where every multiplication can be converted into an addition in Newtonian logarithmic table. Similarly, here every convolution can be converted into a multiplication. So convolution is a tedious process, as you all know. In the time domain, if you multiply two functions, you use the convolution technique. But if you go to the S domain, you simply find the product of two functions that will give you the result. So we generally do this when we have multiple transfer functions, or we have multiple time domain functions in series concatenated one after the other. So we convert it into the S domain function, then we find the product, and the final result, we can take the inverse Laplace to take the actual combination of these independent functions together through convolution. So convolution is a tedious and time taken process, and through this operation in the S domain, we can solve the problems easily, efficiently, and with better accuracy. So let me draw the block diagram in S domain. We have the plant G at S, and this plant is giving some input, and based on that input some output ys is coming. You remember that whenever a time domain function is converted into S domain, we represent by capital in the S domain, capital letter, we use the capital letter. So here the feedback path filter is there. Then we have a comparator over here. So comparator, the job of comparator is take the reference input, RT is transform into RS. So compare it with the feedback signal. This is plus, this is minus. Always remember that the feedback signal is the minus signal, which actually has to be subtracted from the reference signal. So these two signals are compared over here. So this is basically the error signal, as I have discussed in the previous lecture. So based on this block diagram, we can find out certain expressions. What is ys? From this block diagram, ys is at the output of gs, and this gs is getting the input from es, because es is a signal and gs is a function which represent the plant over here. So this is the first equation. Next to gs into es, we get es in the block diagram, and this es is the result of the comparison of two signals, which are rs and bs. So this is the second equation, and this bs is basically the feedback signal, basically the product of the system transfer function hs and the signal ys. This is the third one. Now what I will do, I will eliminate bs and es. So in order to eliminate bs, I have to place it here in equation 2. So placing bs from equation 3 into equation 2, we get es equals to rs minus hs into ys. This is equation 4, and then we get this ES has to be placed from here to here. So therefore YS equal to GS into RS minus HS into YS. So you have to write here that by eliminating ES from equation 4 and equation 1, we get this one. So you see that YS is coming 2 times. So why don't we take the YS terms on one side? So if we take this term to the left, we can say that 1 plus GS HS, because this term and this term will be multiplied and negative sign will go because the term is going to the left. So we have YS with this coefficient equal to GSRS. So once we get this transfer function, this expression, from here we can obtain the transfer function, that is the relation from the input to the output. So we take the output divided by input. We have to find this. We call it transfer function from RS to YS. So what is this? You divide both sides by 1 plus GSHS. So dividing both sides by 1 plus GSHS, we get GS divided by 1 plus GSHS. Now here we see that we have a sign plus over here, but if we recall back to the block diagram, we will see that the block diagram here, this is the minus sign, this sign is the minus sign. So we understand that if the signal is subtracted at the comparator, this minus sign will come. So if you try to find out the transfer function for a system which is like this, you have the RS, this is the plus, and you have the feedback which is again plus. So this YS, you are getting the feedback signal. In that case, the transfer function will be YS by RS equal to GS divided by 1 minus GS HS. And this is the example for the oscillator where we use the positive feedback system. But when we want to control a system, we need the negative feedback system where we have the transfer function as GS divided by 1 plus GSHS. This is one of the most commonly used expression in the control systems in linear system theory. Now if we extend this concept to a system which has more than one input and or more than one output, what will happen to the system? Suppose I am taking an example. I have a system which can be represented like this. So this is G1S and a signal is going forward from GNS where I am getting an external input QS So both these signals are added, and the output is going to another plant G2S, from where we are getting the output YS, and this YS is passing through a feedback component. This is HS. So we have a system with reference input RS and the RS is plus, feedback is minus, and this feedback signal is BS. Then we see that we have one output and two inputs. What are the two inputs over here? The two inputs over here are, first one is QS and second one is RS, while we see that the output over here is only YS. So our job here is to find out the transfer function from QS to YS and from RS to YS. So how do we do that? Let us consider the plant with one input at a time. So if we consider the plant with one input at a time, we'll see that there will be two different block diagrams. What are those two different block diagrams? Suppose we assume, let us assume that QS equal to 0 at the first instance. So when QS equal to 0 at the first instance, the block diagram will be modified like this. We have the G1S, and this is QS was entering here, but now it is 0, so it is directly going to G2S. You have the YS, and here you have the error signal, which is the comparison between the reference input and the feedback signal, which is coming from HS, which is filtering the signal from YS. So here you have the BS. So I have the plus and minus over here. So from here, how do you find the transfer function? So naturally, we have YS equal to G2S, G1S, ES. Here I want to share something important about writing an expression in control domain. What I am seeing that the outputs are written first. So this output is expressed as a combination of something from here to here. So what I am doing actually, I am taking YS equal to, so the outermost portion is this G2S. So G2S written first, then the next one is G1S, because the output of G1S is entering the G2S. So here you see the output of G1S is entering into G2S. So in this way, I am writing the expressions in the way that the output of G1S is going to the input of G2S, and output of G2S YS. Similarly, ES is entering the G1S as input. So ES is entering here. So ES is entering at G1S. So the writing of expression is very much important, because when you are dealing with single input single output system, most of the times the sequence will not matter for us. Suppose if I write here, this is equal to G1S into ES into G2S, it will not matter over here. This is perfectly okay here from the terms of calculations. But whenever we are dealing with multi-input, multi-output system in the matrix domain, then we'll have problem because of wrongly expressed connectivities between blocks and signals. So you always keep in mind that what is the way we should write the expression. So similarly, we get ES equal to RS minus BS, and then we have BS equal to HS into YS. Now this is equation 1, this is equation 2, this is equation 3. So we see that if we eliminate BS from 2 and 3, so eliminating BS from 2 equation, this is equation 2 and equation 3, we get ES equal to RS minus HS YS. So again we have to eliminate ES from equation 4 and equation 1. So eliminating ES from equation 1 and equation 4, we get YS equal to G2S. In equation 1 I can see that G2S coming first, then G1S, then ES is replaced by RS minus HS and YS. Remember, if you are doing these things for the first time, you need to practice it yourself. Just seeing the expression on the screen will not work it out, so you can pause the video lecture and try it yourself, and then you can follow. Therefore, if we take the y terms together, we get, so let me make it simple, G2S into G1S into RS minus G2S into G1S into HS into YS. So now y term can be taken together, so it will become 1 plus G2S into G1S into HS, then this will be the coefficient of YS, and this is equal to, on the right hand side you are left with G2S into G1S into RS. So if you divide both sides, dividing both sides by 1 plus G2S into G1S into HS, we actually get YS equal to G2S into G1S divided by 1 plus G2S into G1S into HS multiplied by RS. Now if I want to shift RS below YS, then we need to take it from here and place it here. So YS by RS is basically the transfer function, and we can say that this is T1. We can write this is T1. So this is the first transfer function, that is from RS to YS. Now similarly you can draw the block diagram for the second case where RS is 0 and QS is non-zero. So let us try the second block diagram. So I want to make RS 0. So what actually was there? It was something like this. RS, this was RS, and this was BS, and this was minus, this was plus, and this was going, this was error, and this was going to G1S. So here, if I make RS equal to 0, then what will happen actually? This minus term will appear. Here you have negative term. This will appear as minus 1 in series to the block, because when BS is entering the system, it is negating. So if RS is 0, then naturally BS should enter the system with some gain as minus 1 or multiplier as minus 1, because this summing block will disappear. So let us try this. So for us, RS will be 0. So once RS is 0, then we can write instead of RS, we are placing the minus 1 block over here. So we have the minus 1 block over here. So there the signal BS is entering. Now RS is 0, and for the case when RS equal to 0, then the signal after negating it is going to G1S, then I can say that this is a new signal. I name it as JS, and you have the keys already. We have mentioned that one of the two inputs is QS. So again, this is added to the system. This is an example of actual situation, because when you define a block diagram to represent an actual system, so such kind of inputs are always there. RS is there, then QS is also there, which is a signal added to the system, which is most of the times unwanted. So we should find out the way how to minimize the effect of this QS also. That is another challenge in control systems. So let us find out what is happening over here. So when we try to write the expression, we try to write Ys first in the forms of G2S. And G2S is actually getting two signals. One is your QS and another one is JS. This is equation 1. So naturally JS is getting at the output of G1S, and G1S is getting output of minus 1, that is the gain block, and this is getting the signal BS. So this is equation 2. Then we are having BS equal to HS and YS. So this is equation 3. So again we have to eliminate BS from 1 and 3. So sorry, BS from 2 and 3. So eliminating BS from equation 2 and equation 3, we get what we are getting? We are getting JS equal to G1S. So this is the minus sign. So minus I keep in front of it. Then instead of BS I write HS into YS. HS into YS. This is equation 4. Now we have to eliminate JS from equation 4 and equation 1. So eliminating JS from equation 1 and equation 4, we get YS equal to G2s, which is multiplied with the signal QS, which is the input. So we need this minus. So you are placing Js, this is minus G1s into Hs into Ys. Now need to take the Ys terms together. So let us combine the coefficients of Ys together. So this is 1 plus G1s Hs sorry, this should be, because so we simplify it first, then it will be easy. Ys equal to G2s Qs minus G2s into G1s into Hs into Ys. In the exam also this happens. In hurry we skipped a step and something goes wrong because of this skipping. So now we take the y coefficient terms together. So this will become 1 plus G2s G1s Hs, then this will come together as a coefficient of Is, and on the right we are left with G2s Qs. So the interesting thing is control system is when you are deducing a transfer function, if you watch it, it will look very cumbersome, very complicated, and you think how we will memorize all these things, because this is all mathematics. You need not memorize these things, you just have to start working on it. Just take out a pen and a paper and start solving it, and it is damn simple. So I always advise to work it out of your own, so that the curiosity of complicacy and difficulty goes from your mind. So we dividing both sides by, okay, I make a little shortcut, G2s G1s Hs and Qs. So it will save some time for me. I will have Ys by Qs, that is equal to G2s divided by 1 plus G2s G1s Hs, and from here we can compare the two transfer function which we had got, because we got Rs, transfer function for Rs, that was Ys by Rs equal to G2s G1s divided by 1 plus G2s G1s into Hs. So now we can express Ys by combining both these transfer functions together like this. Ys equal to G2s G1s divided by 1 plus G2s G1s Hs into Rs plus G2s divided by 1 plus G2s G1s Hs into Qs. So here comes the situation. We already understand that this is a case of 2 input 1 output. So therefore I can express Ys as matrix where we are having two transfer functions, G2s G1s by 1 plus G2s G1s HS, and the other one is G2s divided by 1 plus G2s G1s HS, and this is multiplied by the two inputs RS and QS. So if you can recall your previous experience of multiplying two vectors, like I have x1 and x2, and multiply it with y1 and y2, so this will become x1 y1 plus x2 y2. So this is the same thing which is happening over here. So here I can say that ys, this is the output, and this is the transfer function matrix, and this is called as the input vector. So if this ys is more than one output, then it will be definitely a matrix with many rows and one column. So this will be a output vector. So this is an example of 1 by 2 system. This means one input and this means one output and two inputs. So this can be generalized with an expression in the matrix form, which can be presented like this. So I write the heading general representation of a MIMO system. General representation of MIMO system. It is also called MIMO system. And this is your plant, which is definitely P by M, because there are P outputs and M inputs to the system. So we have M inputs, so I have R1s, I have R2s, like that I have RMS. So there are M inputs. Similarly, I have Y1s as the one output, Y2s as the other outputs, and up to YPS as the pth output. So this can be represented as GS P by M system, and this we can represent by thick arrow, where you have an input vector of order n by 1, and you have a thick arrow with output vector ys of order p by 1. So if we elaborate it, it can be written and represented as y1s, y2s up to yps. This is the vector, and this is equal to there are many transfer functions, g11s, g12s, it will go up to g1ms, because the input vector has m rows, so this should have the m column in the transfer function. So similarly, we have g21s up to gp1s, because there are p outputs, so eventually it will go up to gpms. So this transfer function matrix should have input as r1s, r2s, and up to rms. This is the input vector. So we can represent it as y1 yis equal to sigma I equal to 1, j equal to 1, and I will go up to p and j will go up to m, and this is gij, s and rj. So this is the generalized representation of multi-input multi-output system, and this is for your information, and as a part of the syllabus you need to learn this topic, and whenever you will go for the project or research work in a multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary area where you are using such concepts and applying in topics like mechatronics or robotics, then such concepts will be useful for you. So friends, this much is for today, and in the coming session we will go with further concepts of control systems. So thank you for your patient listening.